Good afternoon, everybody. I want to welcome you all to today's Awareness Inc. webinar. We really appreciate you taking some time. I'm really excited about today's session. It's with my friend Erik Qualman, who wrote the best-selling book, Socialnomics, which is still one of my favorites. And Erik, can you hear me okay? Awesome. And today we're going to be talking about a new book, obviously, which is Digital Leader, and just really excited to see, hear your insights and chat with you a lot about this. So before I turn everything over to Erik, I wanted to take care of some housekeeping issues real quick up front. First off, let me give a quick intro as to who's going to be speaking today. First, it's as I mentioned, it's Erik Qualman. He's the best-selling author of Socialnomics and the author of Digital Leader. Under Socialnomics, you can follow him on Twitter at I always say this wrong, but it's Equalman, and I want to say Equalman.
Equalman's right, man. It's like a superhero.
It sounds exactly like a superhero. You should be in the new Avengers movie. I'm Mike Lewis. I'll be your host today. I run sales and marketing here at Awareness. You can feel free to follow both at any time and ask any questions throughout the session. In fact, we encourage you to ask as many questions as you'd like. And we're going to be tracking all questions today, both on Twitter and within WebEx. So feel free to jump on Twitter, use the hashtag #PoundAwarenessInc, and make sure we get back in touch to chat with you today, and make sure we get back and answer your questions during the session if we can. If not, we'll get back to you today. If you have technical issues, contact WebEx customer support. You're able to see it in the WebEx client. It's in the upper-hand corner. You can also use the Q&A box below to ask questions. I'll be monitoring that throughout the session as well. So a bunch of different channels for you to ask questions today, and we really would like to make this as interactive as possible. So don't be shy. And of course, I can't recommend enough to go out and buy Erik's book. It's an absolute great read. It was released a couple of months back by McGraw-Hill. It's called Digital Leader, 5 Simple Keys to Success and Influence. Go to Amazon.com. If you type in Digital Leader, it is the first thing to come up on the screen, so I can't recommend it enough. Please go out and buy it after. And before we get going, I wanted to give you a quick overview of Awareness. It's funny, we do these sessions every month. And what's interesting is people have come up to me at tweet-ups or events, and they say, oh, I come to all your webinars. You guys do a great job at it. They think it's the only thing we do. I'll give a little background on what Awareness does to give everybody a call, a sense of who we are and what we do. And for most companies, social is all about brand awareness. And for our customers who use our software, it's really generating sales. And across the board, it doesn't matter which organization we're working with or what company we're working with. We help drive sales of whatever product, whatever service. If you're a profit about donations or volunteerism, we help drive sales for whatever it is that you're doing. And drive it through social media. So we're talking about tying in all your Facebook pages, Twitter accounts, your YouTube channels, whatever it is, your blog, giving you the ability to publish, engage, and really track back where revenue is coming from social media. We work with a ton of different customers across the board in multiple industries, multiple geographies around the world. We help them drive sales. We work with a lot of agencies. We work with a lot of big brands that you see. Mainly, we work with a lot of smaller brands, too. This chart is a little bit of some eye candy here for you to show you some of the brands that you may recognize. Of course, we work with much smaller companies as well and help them figure out what they're doing in social and help them drive sales through social media. To work, essentially what we do is we monitor the web, we capture profile details, we give you the ability to target individuals and destinations, and we help convert that into revenue. And we talk about ROI here. We talk about it in two ways. One is turning social traffic into revenue. That's number one. And number two is increasing the top of the funnel database that you're getting to. So our software can help target the areas that will increase the top of the funnel by up to 200%. That can help grow and reach a much broader audience across social media. And to give you a sense of how this works, we help identifying prospects and customers across the web. And we have a lot of different ways we do that. We can monitor different streams. We can monitor different accounts, really up to you based on keyword or action. We put that back in, and we look for those prospects and customers across the web. And a great example is mostly at the Super Bowl. I'm from Boston. I don't like to talk about this year's Super Bowl very much, but I'll say that we helped the NFL host committee manage a team of 50 people in the Indianapolis area and manage all interactions. And the estimate that the NFL and those folks gave us was it was $3.2 million in value based on the stuff that they did in comparison to traditional channels. that they launched. And it's all about monitoring and making sure people had a great experience during the game. For profile details, and what we do is we collect profile information based on the engagements that you're having, and you can get really detailed information in comparison to other marketing forms that you might go fill out and fill in some fields. We can actually capture over 100 fields of data on individuals, and kind of like the American Cancer Society use that to select individual profiles on their individuals who make up their volunteer group, their donors, everybody that participates with them. And then content out to multiple channels at once, engaging conversations with your audience. We help companies like Nuance do that to manage and track and to individuals and destinations that they can market and sell their products to. And of course we convert. So we tie into systems like Salesforce.com and Marketo to help drive conversions through social channels. And company Starwood do this for all the hotels that they manage. And Starwood's a pretty brand, and we have 500 hotels using the software currently to manage all the interactions and conversions that they have. So take my word for it. Don't take the case studies I just gave you. I'd like to invite everybody online today to take a test drive of the hub. When you get there, it's just http://x_D4USX. You sign up, you can get a test drive of the hub right away, and see for yourself what so many brands are using our software for. I'll remind you about that at the end of the session, but that is absolutely all I'm going to talk about today in terms of awareness. I wanted to give you a sense of, like I said, who we are and what we do. With that, I'm going to flip this session over, and Eric, I'm going to pass the ball over to you right now, make you the presenter, so you should be all set. Let me know when that happens. Eric, you there?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Presenter, okay, I've got it.
You are awesome.
Well, that great introduction, Mike, and all sorry about the Patriots' loss in the Super Bowl. Thank you everyone that's joining this call today. Mainly what you guys are either current leaders and want to know what does leadership look like in today's digital world, or you're hiring leaders. So welcome to whatever house you're in. Hopefully you get a lot from today's session. My email address and also my Twitter account's Equalman. So you can find me across the board. So following this session, feel free to reach out to me, answer any questions you have post this conversation. We're going to save some time Q&A at the end. And also, too, if you hear me kind of moving around here, I'm going to try to grab as much as I can from people currently reading the book. The beautiful thing about the digital age today is that through things like Kindle Notes and also obviously via Twitter and Facebook and other blogs, you can see you never know what's going to resonate with the reader. So I can see what is resonating with the readers of the book. So I'm going to pull out what they're saying and what they like and don't like about the book. So hopefully you get more out of this session because of that. Without further ado, it is the book's Digital Leader. Where the idea to start the book was, so I wrote Socialnomics, and then I've been out traveling the world speaking about Socialnomics. And whether I'm talking to a school teacher, a senator, a prime minister, a soccer mom, a CEO, it started to develop a theme. And people all want to know basically three things. They all want to know, how do I lead my life better? How do I lead myself better in this crazy digital world? I've got too many emails coming in. Now we've got Twitter. Now we have Facebook. But how do I take leadership of my own life? And secondary, how do I lead my employees? How do I lead my family? How do I lead my organization? And then third was all about your ultimate legacy. What is it? What are you remembered for starting today, but also 100 years, 200 years from now? So it all revolved around life, leadership, and legacy. And so the impetus behind the book, at 10-second level, what I wanted to do is, I'm a huge Dale Carnegie fan, and I wanted to write a resource for folks as well as myself. I actually practice everything that I preach in the book, so I use it on a daily basis to review and make sure that I try to stay on as much as I can with some of the suggestions that I found through the research in the book. So as much for me as the readers to figure out, how do I lead my best life? How do I lead my employees? How do I lead my organization? And ultimately, what's that stamp on life that I'm going to leave behind? And so if Carnegie were to write a book, that was my focus. What's 8% the same in terms of leadership? What are those core constructs? But there's that 20% that have been changed out there. What's the 20% that differs?
Eric, Mike, real quick. I just wanted to remind you to share your screen. We're not seeing anything on our end, so I think you
you're not. Okay.
Hit share and then just share your desktop.
Back in there.
All right, cool.
Sorry about that, guys.
No worries.
There was
so
a great.
Though. I think
you didn't miss
all...
much. I only had my Twitter handle up there, and then I of the book.
So far, though, I think we've all been imagining it, and it's just awesome.
You guys see it now?
Yes. Yeah, got to make it full screen. We're good to go.
Okay, great. So here, you guys missed this amazing photo action I did here with my Equalman Twitter account. Here's what the cover looks like of the book. So the piece was, we all have these digital legacies that we're creating. When we hear legacy, we think that's something far off in the distance, but it's not. It's what we do today is what your ultimate legacy is going to be tomorrow. So it all synergistically works together when you think about leading your own life, leading others, because you need to lead yourself first, then you can lead others in your organization, in your company, and then that's going to equal your digital legacy. Now, the main difference today is now we're all leaving a digital legacy, something that lasts forever. So historically, you might only get a postage stamp made out of you if you're so famous, like an Elvis or a Michael Jackson or a Martin Luther King, is that you have a stamp made out of you. But now everyone has their own stamp, their own digital legacy. And it's comprised of two main things. It's comprised of your digital footprint. That's anything that you upload about yourself. So that could be a post status update on Facebook, could be a tweet, could be something you wrote on your Tumblr blog. That's part of your digital footprint. Then the more important piece is the shadow. And so people will hear digital legacy, digital footprint, and it actually kind of scares some people because it's such a shift in paradigm. It might scare an individual, a CEO. It might scare the company itself as a whole. They don't want this digital footprint or digital legacy. But it doesn't. Everyone's going to have a digital legacy. And you might have a digital footprint, meaning that you didn't upload anything about yourself, but you certainly are going to have a digital shadow. And that's what other people upload about you. And you can't control that digital shadow, but you can influence it by becoming a digital leader. And that's what we're here to talk about today. And so at the end of the day, we're all going to leave a stamp on life. And that in the book, the acronym STAMP is used, S-T-A-M-P, and I'll go into that in a moment. But the thing to know is that I'm going to pull out random stats throughout this session, but the percent that you see on your screen, what that relates to is that 35% of employers today are bringing someone in that they're going to interview. Call that person that week or send them an email that week and say, you know what, you don't need to come in. We found some stuff online about your digital footprint, about your digital shadow. We don't think you're going to be a good fit for the company. And so it has ramifications, whether it's you're trying to get promoted instead of demoted, you're trying to get hired instead of fired. Along the lines that all this stuff has ramifications for us as individuals and also as companies. The first piece I want to talk about in terms of the stamp that we're leaving as both individuals and also companies, because companies are comprised of you, the individual leaders within those companies. So when I discuss these items here, I will hop back and forth between you as an individual, but also the company as a whole, what it means in business. And the blurring of the lines that we're already seeing is that you no longer have your personal life separate from your business life. They're merged together. They're one thing. And net, that's a positive. But it is an adjustment of our behavior on how we lead, how we become more digital leaders. So the first and foremost that we need to do is we need to simplify our lives. Because life's complex, and those that simplify it are the ones that are going to win. And as we look out there, there's certain ways that we can simplify, make things easier than they were before. I'm going to pull from just different people that have tweeted me or sent in notes or highlighted stuff on the Kindle from the section of the book that is on simplification of what they found the most relevant. The person sent in, I love the LIFO method. So what is the LIFO method, L-I-F-O? What the LIFO method is it's an old accounting term, last in, first out. And so a lot of times we think we're the only individual in the world that has way too much stuff coming at us. That we have way too much emails, way too many tweets that we can't handle it. Guess what? We all have too much on our plate. And the first thing that we realize is that once we realize that we can't get everything done, then we can focus on what needs to get done. And so what the LIFO method talks about is you should treat, so let's say we're talking about Twitter or your email, if you can do last in, first out. So if you get 100 different emails that come in, you go after the last one that came in and reply to that first. Meaning, first you're going to prioritize your emails. So if it's from your boss, your wife, the people that need to be responded to first, you're going to do those first. So out of those 100, let's say there's 20 of those that are red hot. So you'll do those. Then remaining 80, that's when you treat last in, first out. The last came in, that's the one you're going to reply to first. Because if it's been 24 hours, 2 days on those other ones, you're no longer going to surprise and delight, but you have to still surprise and delight with that person that came in a minute ago on Twitter. And that's what this reader was saying, is they liked that LIFO method is great. This person sent in that they love the concept of complain equals digital pain. And so what it means is that if you want to stand out starting today, and also if you want to stand out, if you had a New Year's resolution, which 90% of us, it's the wayside, but if you're looking for a new resolution, it's self-complaining. Each person complains 15 to 30 times per day, so it's a way for you to stand out, and it's a special way for you to stand out digitally. This stuff lasts forever. So if you're complaining 15 to 30 times, you don't want that as a reflection of yourself or a reflection of your company. But it's easy for us to do in the moment. And the examples are countless that we can walk through, but there's a lot in the book that discuss this is bad. And so if you're looking for a way to change your life today is complain less. In a way that you can go the path of trying to do that, because that's not easy to do, and you can for your team as well, is a lot of people found success if you just put a rubber band on your wrist for every day that you don't complain. And you get to 7 rubber bands, 7 days in a row where you don't complain. And I've been doing it since January 1 of this year, and the most I've made it is 3 days. So it's very difficult to do, but it's a nice mnemonic for you or your team to remind yourself that in a digital world especially, complain equals digital pain, and if you want to stand out, you can stop doing that. This person sent in, which is one of my favorite pieces that I found in the book. Again, a lot of this stuff I'm trying to do research to help myself and also help the reader, was that a lot wear a badge of honor when it comes to multitasking. I can say that because I'm a recovering multitasker. And I think that we have to multitask this day and age. They're trying to defeat Father Time. Well, Father Time's undefeated. He's never beaten. He or she never been beaten, so Father Time, you're not going to win that game. So you're actually, when doing the research, what I discovered is that multitasking is actually counterproductive. You're less efficient if you multitask, where we think the inverse. We think the opposite. We think we have to multitask to get everything done. And so this one study that I found that I'm very comical but also very enlightening, is a study from the British Institute of Psychiatry. What they showed that checking your email, performing another creative task, decreases your IQ in the moment by 10 points. So that's the equivalent of not sleeping for 6 hours. So that's twice the impact of smoking marijuana. And so nice soundbite. It's a nice marketing sound. I know we used it for marketing around this webinar. Is that multitasking is worse than smoking marijuana. Now, I'm not saying and encouraging go out and smoke up, and everyone use the hashtag, no pun intended, of smoke on Twitter for this session. But one indicating is that just showcases that if you're going to decrease your IQ in the moment by 10 points, multitasking, which is the equivalent of not sleeping for 36 hours, that will make you more productive. And so in an age, it's kind of funny. You have to focus on a task 1 point at a time. And so I've been practicing this myself as well as a lot of other people that we've been doing the research with. I've found it to be more productive to focus 1 point at a time. Now, there is some productive multitasking, meaning that if it's If one requires intellect, another one's a physical task. So if you are currently listening to this webinar and folding laundry, that's fine. You're using a manual task that doesn't require mental capacity. But trying to send an email to your boss while you're also listening to this webinar, that's counterproductive. It's actually long-term, you're going to be less efficient. And also, and we're not going to dive into it right now, but a lot of the study in the book that we found, it actually has taxing health ramifications on you. So again, long-term, you're less effective if you're constantly getting sick because you're wearing yourself out. So anyways, that is one major key takeaway this person said, and it's probably one of the biggest key takeaways of the book, is to decrease your multitasking for yourself, but also for your team. And also we'll dig into it as a company as a whole. That's what you need to simplify. You need to bear down and focus on what needs to get done. I worked at Yahoo back when they were kind of the Facebook of the day, and one of the reasons for the eventual downfall of Yahoo is we were trying to do everything. We had 147 different business units, and we didn't realize quick enough that you need to kind of focus and simplify that down. It's really hard to do. A study found that from the University of California that employees spend an average of 11 minutes before interrupted or having to move on to something else. So 11 minutes before someone's going to interrupt us. And this says 25 minutes, there are way back to that original task. So again, live in this constant world of interruption. So anything you can do to help reduce the interruption is that's what you need to be able to do in order to be successful. And successful in today's world, we also need to focus on what this young lady sent in, the concept between input and output. And I'll dig in a little bit more of this when we get into the A section, the ACT session. A high level of input versus output is input is answering email all day. So you get home, you're completely exhausted, you're very hard working, but you've produced nothing of tangible value. An input, anything to show for it at the end of the day. You didn't get that one or two things done that you needed to get done. And we'll talk a little bit more about that when we get into the ACT session. As we look at this in terms of digital leaders or digital companies that lead look like, a good example is out of the Northeast. Some of you guys on the call might be familiar with this grocery store chain called Wegmans. There's these large grocery stores. They're massive stores, but they're very high quality. There's a lot of unique stuff within the store. But most importantly, what sets them apart is that they open about 3 to 4 new stores a year, which is not a lot. So I think they go as far south as Virginia. So their expansion's slow because they want to focus on quality. They don't even consider buying land or talking about moving into an area. They won't even buy the land until they've hired the manager for that store. Until they find the right manager to run that store, they will not start blueprints for location. And so what that means for them, this is an interesting story, just what their is and how to stand out and be outstanding. Of word of mouth is now on digital steroids. They have always focused on word of mouth. And so that manager, here's a good story of what they expect from their manager. This lady comes in. She's been married for a year and a little less than a year. And they're going to do the first Thanksgiving ever. She's in charge of cooking everything for Thanksgiving for her in-laws. She comes in Wegmans. She's a complete nervous wreck because she doesn't really know what to do, and she's got a lot of pressure. She wants to make sure she impresses everybody. And so the manager walks her through the entire store, which takes about an hour, and they buy everything. Here's the turkey we need. We need to put foil over the turkey to keep it moist. Here's, a tin that we can cook the turkey in. We need mashed potatoes, on down the line, yada, yada, yada. So relieves the girl's stress. She leaves the store. This is on a Monday. So it takes about 2 days to properly thaw a turkey. She comes in on Wednesday. The turkey's thawed. She is a complete wreck. Now she's almost in tears that it doesn't fit in her oven. It's a 26-pound turkey. Doesn't fit in the oven. So the manager, where do you live? What time are you eating? Okay, I'll cook the turkey and I'll deliver it to you the next day. So they do that. Obviously produces a lot of word of mouth. But what is it when you get into the digital world? What happens then? So a company like Wegmans or Zappos on down the line, they embrace this stuff in terms of digital media because now it's their way to get out on a massive scale. So they open a new store outside Boston, Wegmans does recently, and it's per Facebook. I just went to Wegmans. I love it. I was so excited to be in the store, and there's 27,000 people that went that first day to the store opening. So it's analogous to a McDonald's opening back in the Cold War in the Soviet Union. That's the amount of anticipation and hype that comes from this stuff. And I was so excited to be in that store, I forgot to buy egg beaters and to buy orange juice. So what do? They list that. They go to the person's part of the loyalty program. They're able to locate where she lives. She can knock on the door the next day with the egg beaters and the orange juice. Retelling that story, and other people are retelling that story digitally. That's how you quickly morph into that being a digital leader. Or if we hop here to this next slide that we have up here, this screenshot of Apple's homepage from 2004. If you look at this, there's 17 different tabs at the top. And if you read Jobs' bio, his book, which is a great read, I recommend it to everybody. His core philosophy is to simplify everything. Showing this because how do you guys manage your own either small business or within a big company and you have constant discussions about something like a website, or it could be about your Facebook fan page. What goes on there? And more than not, because digital allows for it, you kind of put everything on there. You don't get the hard decision. And so we see here on Apple, we see there's 17 different tabs. And you see there's a tab for education, there's a tab for professionals, for business, for developers, to buy. And some of us sometimes at different companies, we say, well, we're not Apple or we're not XYZ company, so we have to do things differently. We have to appease so many different potential customers. But Apple does in 2010, and they reduced those 16 tabs down to 7 tabs. Hey, if you're an educational buyer, come here. Then there's a Mac's a Mac, an iPod's an iPod. No matter what kind of user you are, professional, developer, educator. That is part of their success. And it's easy for us to say, well, we're not Apple, or we're not XYZ company, or we do things differently. But we don't. I go around the world and talk to tons of companies, from small business to Fortune 500 to governments. And most problems are 90% the same, but yet internally we all think that they're different. So it gets into true. Will we cause separation as a company? How are we different? How do we make those difficult decisions? Individual, what are we most passionate about in our life? What is the stamp that we want to leave behind? What is that ultimate legacy that we want to leave? For a lot of us, that's a tough question, whether as a company or as an individual. On the individual side, what I recommend people do, because sometimes we don't know that answer. I just threw that question out there. How many on the call know the answer right away? It's an exercise to do is to figure out what you're passionate about. It's for days. At the end of the day, either out, send yourself a note, write it down, whatever you prefer. Will you be the happiest that day? What moment made you the happiest? And you'll see a pattern after about 10 to 14 days. And that'll lead you into what you're passionate about, what you are true about. And as you do that, from there, what you need to do is you write out in 140 characters or less, this is the individual side, 140 characters or less, what that is, what your reason for being, what's the core element. I say 140 characters or less because that's the limit on Twitter. As we move into the future, it'll become less and less, more and more succinct. What we're going to find, what do you want them to find 100 years from now, 200 years from now? And the beautiful thing is, whether we're a brand or whether we're an individual, we can see real time now what is our epitaph going to be. We can see that being typed out, played out real time. And so what does it look like in terms of being true on a company side? So working at Travelzoo, we faced a tough decision. The decision was, as we went into search engine optimization, what are the top words that we want? And some of you guys have probably gone through this exercise. And it's art, part science exercise. But that's part of the exercise is always what you're not going to do. It's like a Steve Jobs, he'll say sometimes the most important thing to success is not what you decide to do. It's what you decide not to do. So actually we could have gone after keywords like travel. That was the top word. Cheap travel was one of the top 3 words. But I said, well, why don't we focus on something we think we can own and that our core, that's true to what we do, that makes us different. And what I'm to was we're all about deals. Well, these other guys focus on cheap travel and travel and hotel travel. We're going to focus on travel deals. That's going to be our number 1 term. We want to own travel deals, that space, that you can get deals from us. And so there, that's what we decided to do, focused on that. And over time, we got to own that top spot because we also looked at the competition that differentiated us. Not many people were going after it. They were all going after the word travel. They were going after online travel agent. They were going after cheap travel. So we were up number 1. Our traffic goes from a month to a month. We made that hard decision. Or if you look at a more offline example, if you look at Specialty Cereal, they're about to discontinue that brand. And they said, we need to do something different. So sometimes that forces you to do something different when you're about to be discontinued. And that's okay. What they said was, you know what? We focus on being a health cereal oriented towards women. That's true about. If you think about that in a meeting, if you're going to suggest you're going to eliminate 48 to 50% of your potential buyers for a product, that takes a lot of guts. But then what happens over time? They're able to focus. Everything becomes easier from a decision of what's the website supposed to look like, what's the Facebook strategy, what's the Twitter strategy. Everything becomes simplified over time. The design of the logo, that K needs to be in the shape of a female calf or a female's leg. Everything becomes easier once you find out what's your true reason for being, whether you're an individual or as a company. And in the Special K's case, they went from being the discontinued cereal to the number 1 selling cereal brand. And so tough decisions we need to make, and they're easy to do. You need to be aware of is that in time, everything is going to be rated. So this is just a screenshot from Rubbermaid of their ratings. So it doesn't matter. Every product and service is a rating. And battle it out between Facebook and Amazon and Apple and Google. The event winner of that war is the person that identifies with us the best on privacy and that we trust. But also secondarily, who figures out how to easily share data between individuals. Being able to that data of what I like and don't like with my friends in an easy-to-use, searchable fashion. So be aware of that thing will be rated. When I say everything, I mean everything. Like tools like Clout and also LinkedIn, individuals are going to be rated. And that's why it's important for you as a leader in your company, for your own personal sake, also for your company's sake, that you understand how to position your digital footprint, your digital shadow, and how to lead through simplifying and also being true to yourself and true to what your company stands for. Now, a quick tweet from Mickey Arson. He's the owner of Carnival Cruise Lines. He also owns Miami Heat. And so when I say being true, you also have to be aware of Mickey's an avid person on Twitter. He's big in social media, which is highly encourage that for all CEOs where it makes sense. It's not for everybody, but for the CEOs where it's in their DNA, definitely get there and do it. But when cruise line, one cruise line, Carnival Cruise Lines, owns a cruise line that had the issue in Italy where the ship sank, that when that happens, if you're sending out tweets 40 to 50 times a day, you can't go radio silent when something bad happens. You need to be true to yourself and true to your listeners out there. So when he posts, I won't be active on Twitter for the next while, helping the team manage this crisis, on the surface, that looks like a pretty good tweet. But to follow that up, you can't go silent for a couple of days and circle the wagons on figuring out what you're supposed to do. If you're true to yourself, basically you need to quickly meet with your lawyers and the possible constituents. But as long as you're always being true to yourself, you can never go wrong. And so that is why companies are needing to simplify more, be true to themselves, because everything's fully transparent. It makes life easier after you make those difficult decisions of simplifying and being true. And the third piece, which is to act. Basically, older employees and followers learn more from what you are than what you teach. More importantly, we need to fail forward. We need to fail fast. We need to fail better. Nothing happens without action. As I travel around, the more people I talk to, it's always, we're going to do that once we've got XYZ shored up, or we're going to do that program once we do this, or we're not ready for that yet, but we will be soon. Great companies and the great leaders and great individuals, they fail forward, they fail fast, and they fail better. And they need to get to where you need to get to, start figuring out, okay, I just need to go out there and I need to be decisive. All digital leaders are decisive because they understand that there's probably more downside with making no decision at all than to making the wrong decision quickly. And that you can adjust quickly if the decision is wrong and you actually learn something. Where a decision is made, that sends the wrong message to your employees, and you also learn nothing from it. And so we get into, when we talked about simplification, you should start every day focusing on output rather than input. Meaning that you want to get two things done today. It works a lot for a lot of people. We're doing the research that's shown that this is proven. Start the day off just writing down or typing into your phone what you want to get done. When I first started doing this, I'm like, these two things, that's going to take me 45 minutes. This is going to be no problem. And at the end of the day, I didn't have either one done. Because what was I in the habit of doing? I was in the habit of rolling over and checking my smartphone the first moment I woke up. And all of a sudden, I'm engaged in input rather than output. I'm engaged in input, and I'm not producing something in a day knowing, wow, I got this done. So focus 2 items, write them down. You'll notice the time that you'll get at it. First, you're going to be amazed that you can't get these 2 things done. But then over time, once you realize, I'm not going to touch anything until I have 2 items done that I've written down. And remember to fail forward, fail fast, and to fail better. And one that we need to take advantage of is what I call momentum marketing. And what it looks like is you need to take advantage of something that's bigger than yourself. What's happening out there that is bigger than you? And so a good example of that might be if all of a sudden the Green Bay Packers are in the Super Bowl, you're selling a product within the region. You need to hop on that. You need to do posts about the Packers. You need to, if you're selling ice cream, make it so that you're selling lime ice cream with green sprinkles on it, which is the color of the Green Bay Packers. That's what we're talking about within momentum marketing. Or when Charlie Sheen starts to talk about Tiger Blood, what do we do at socialnomics.com? I go out and research Tiger Blood and notice that there's not a lot of posts on it because I can't find out the answer. Is Tiger Blood different from some other kind of blood? But then I see it as an opportunity. I don't have my answer. I see it as an opportunity. So I post a post about here's Tiger Blood. It's no different than regular blood. Oh, and Charlie Sheen's got 2 million followers on Twitter. So there's the social media tie-in. Or what's the tie-in for whatever you're selling? Because the thing to do is to, okay, well, that's not for us. That's not for my company. But the creative thinkers think, how can I take advantage of this situation that has occurred? How can I take advantage of this phenomenon called Jeremy Lin, insanity? How do I tie that in? How do I quickly move? How would I make my company more nimble? And that's what you need to do as a digital leader. That's the only way you can be a leader in this age, is to be nimble and to take advantage of this momentum marketing. Or, if you take the example of this, if Farmville becomes huge, all of a sudden Giants offering Farmville points that you get from the packaging within the store. So it's on packages of your green beans, on your corn. That is what we're talking about, being able to move quickly because more and more these opportunities arise and fall in a rapid fashion. I did this on daylight savings time. I want to know what time daylight savings time was. And there wasn't a lot of information or an immediate answer when I did a Google search. So I saw an opportunity to go out and buy those keywords for that term, daylight savings time. I sent them to our site that said, hey, here's the information that you need. At the top, I'm not going to sell right away. At the top, and then at the bottom, play a funny text there that says, hey, you've got your hour. Why don't you read a good book? Why don't you try this socialnomics thing out? So that's what we're talking about in terms of momentum marketing. And a lot of us don't do this because we kind of fear it. And a lot of fear comes from false evidence that appears real. Well, what happens if we could do this and it might not work? Or, if X, Y, Z happens, this could be a disaster. Now, you want to plan for the worst, but you want to expect the best. And this acronym comes from scuba diving. For those that scuba dive and don't, when you're underwater, anything bad happens. It's not the person that has the most certification or most trained scuba diver that's going to excel in that situation. It's the person who remains calm and understands a lot of this external activity that you're digesting is just false evidence that appears real. A lot of that external dangers is false evidence that appears real. So the person that excels is the person who remains calm and adapts to the environment, the changing environment around them, and then moves forward, controls what they can control. They can't control that external environment, but they control how they react to it. So that you can become a digital leader. And you can become that quickly. So if you're someone that's trying to aspire to be a leader, even if you're not the most certified scuba diver, in a situation like that, we live in a world of constant change. So that's a way for you to excel. The thing, too, in a world of constant change, we all wake up and hope that there's no problems that occur. But you set yourself up, not only as a business person, but also as an individual, to be disappointed every day. There's always going to be challenges throughout the day. That's what life's all about. And it's the digital leader that can embrace those challenges that actually can excel. This piece, as we move in here, the fourth piece, and then we'll get into the people, is on the mapping. It's be able to be on the cutting edge, but not on the bleeding edge. You want to look so far ahead, but not too far ahead that you step in the manure that's right in front of you. And so that's important when it comes to mapping this stuff out. In a way, as a company, you should map. You always ask 3 questions. Do this, or you can have someone like me come in and do this. I do this a fair amount. Is you can, and you only ask you interview about, let's say, inside your company, you want to interview different people from different departments, and you ask them 3 questions. You want to ask the mission of the company. Second thing you want to ask is, I want one thing. I just want one answer on how we differentiate from competition. And the third question you want to ask is, if we went away tomorrow as a company, what would be the hole left for society? So those 3 questions that you want to ask. What's the mission of the company? What's the differentiate from our competition? And then what's the hole leave in society if it goes away? 90% of the time, you're going to get a variant of answers. And that's one problem, it's also an opportunity. It's a problem because as we allow our customers and clients to take more and more ownership of the brand, if we don't know what the hell the company stands for, how do we expect the extra people outside of the office to know what the brand should stand for? And also it's important for everyone to get on the same page. So once you do this exercise, you should film it, and you can cut in about 2 to 3 minutes, and then showcase everyone at the company. And it's a good opportunity to figure out, what are you true about? How do we map? How do we get to where we need to be? And how do we get on the same page? And so in the digital world as well, to be firm in destination, but also flexible in your path on how you get there. During this research for this book, I was talking to a takeover CEO. And he had said was, we're like, well, when you take over a company or take over CEO, what do you do when you come in there? Did you fire a lot of people right away and just cut down cost cutting? Reorganize logistics? Is it more a cash flow issue? And he goes, no. It's a lot more simple than that. All I do is I ask, I want your top 50 to 60 customers. Give me a list of the top 50 to 60 customers. And if they don't have that list, that's a signal right away that there's bigger problems. Most of the time, there's a list like that. From there, he goes and meets with each one of those customers. And talk about digital leadership. Communication is an augmentation. It helps to strengthen that communication, but it's not a replacement for face-to-face. You can do stuff like this, webinars, and others to augment it, but you still can't replace that face-to-face. You need to use this stuff to augment it, not replace it. Those lines, as he goes and meets with all these companies, 40 of the best customers, ask them 2 questions. What do you buy from us, and why do you buy from us? Then what he does, he turns around and he focuses 80% effort of the company on that. And that's how he turns the stuff around. That's how you as an individual can turn your life around, or to take it to that next level. Most of the people on this call are happy with your life, but you're always looking to improve. And that's the easiest way to simplify that, and to give a map for where you need to go. And as a company, that's another great way to map out those 2 different scenarios I told you. What the takeover CEO asks of the external and some partners and customers, and then those 3 questions that I gave you for internal piece. And then we're going to the next slide. While that's loading, it's taking a little bit of time, but I'll let that give itself some pause before we hop into that one. I'm going to go back real quick into some other stuff that I've gotten in a little day from different people that have read the book. So I loved your out of office suggestion. Okay, that jumps back into the simple piece. So one time when I was looking, I got about 150 emails a day. Some of you guys get more, some of you guys get less. I was going on vacation. I knew that I'd probably have close to 1,000 emails, and sure enough, when I got back, a little over 1,000 emails. Before I left on that vacation, I decided to set up my office to say, hi, thanks for reaching out to me. This mailbox is temporarily out of order, or full, not out of order. This mailbox is currently full. If this is important, please resend on the 10th. That's when I got back on the 10th. I get back, I got 1,000 over emails. And so what made me nervous is I just deleted every email. Delete all 1,000. And obviously I was nervous wreck for the next couple of days. And guess what? Nothing bad happened. And there's only 8 people that resent that email. So that just points out for us to focus on output that I talked about rather than that input. And what does output look like? It could be that you want to write a screenplay. It could be that you want to finish writing a book. It could be that you want to write that white paper for the company. It doesn't matter what the output is for you. It could be that you want to complete a video that you're producing. It depends on what that output is, but that's what we need to want to make sure we get those 2 things done that are important for us each day. My computer froze up here, but I'm gonna work with this. Here we go. Okay, so as part of the map, we also keep an eye on what's happening out there in the future. And I skipped through a lot of this stuff because I want to get us to Q&A, and I know that we're running out of time. So what I'll do is that you guys can reach out to me. I'll send out this deck as well, just on what is going to be hot, the line, and happening right now, and what's big in the future. The biggest thing is going to be the way that we market to the young people out there is going to change, because education is in the moment of change right now. If you're not familiar with KhanAcademy.org, what that was is that 2 kids that have a cousin that really knows math, they go, hey, Uncle Khan, or Cousin Khan, we don't understand this math. Can you help us out? So he went on YouTube and scripted out some answers to if a train starts here and they meet in the middle, what's that end result? And so they would do that, and over 300,000 people watched that video. And then Bill Gates became aware of this, and he gave them some funding. And then from there, it has grown into now there's schools across the U.S. and across the world that as homework, they go watch the lecture on Khan Academy. When you come in their day, then we'll complete the homework in class together. And then not least on P is people. And what I stress there is that you need to network before you need your network. You need to constantly be reaching out to people to grow that network. If you surround yourself with the right people digitally, and the way to do that is your digital connections are your digital currency. And the easiest way to tap into that currency is if you're constantly growing that network before you need that network, meaning that whether it's developing employee base or whether it's you're trying to find a new job, you need to, if you're not looking for a job right now, that's when you need to network, not when you need the job. You need network before you need the network, and that makes life a lot easier, and that's when you can cash in on that digital currency that is out there. And so I'll end this real quick because I want to get to Q&A. I know we have a limited amount of time, and so I appreciate everyone jumping on this call. Feel free to reach out to me, Qualman, at Twitter and also on Gmail and Yahoo, and we'll take it from there. But I greatly appreciate it. If you learn anything from this, it's all how do you simplify your life in this digital age. And if you read the book, hopefully you get a lot of helpful tips, tactical tips that you can use so that you can lead your company, lead your organization, lead your family, and change the way you guys do business. And I'm going to turn this back over to Mike real quick and forward to your questions.
Erik, thanks so much, man. That was great. We do have a lot of questions, and I know we're running short on time, so I'll just start at the top here. First, I want to let everybody on the line know we get this question a lot, and we just got a ton of them actually. Erik's slides will be available. We'll make them available. We also have a recording of this session that's been that we taped, so it will be available hopefully within the next 24 to 40 hours, and we'll let everybody know about it. Also, if you missed the link for the free trial, I know some folks did. If you go to the Facebook feed for Twitter, which is twitter.com/awareness-inc, we will send another tweet out with that free trial information, and you're more than welcome to sign up for it, and just check through the feed, and you'll be able to see it there. So, Erik, got a couple interesting questions for you. The first is, you actually brought up a great example of Rubbermaid. Someone asked, what do you think about examples like Levi's Friends Store or TripAdvisor.com, where they actually tie in Facebook Connect so you can see your friends' recommendations?
Oh, I mean, that's amazing. I love it. You maybe seen my socialnomics presentation, but that's what I talk about. I use TripAdvisor example because they're here in Boston, but you can't do that in terms of Facebook Connect. For those that don't know what that tool is, essentially at a 10-second level, it allows you just to have one login across multiple sites. So that's a beautiful thing. We no longer have to have all these yellow Post-it notes on our computer of what our passwords are. But more importantly, from a business perspective and also from an individual perspective, it's able to tap into your social networks, meaning that if you're on TripAdvisor and you do a search for a hotel in Bermuda and it comes back with your 100 regular ratings that you'd get on TripAdvisor, now through Facebook Connect, it'll come back and say, hey, of your 130 friends on Facebook, because the average person has 130 friends on Facebook, 8 of those friends have gone to this location, and 6 have stayed at this hotel, this one hotel, and they all give it 4 and 5 stars. So that's 6 people that you know and trust and know what they like and don't like about hotels, and it makes it a lot better process. And so that's when I talk about the winner between the big four. When you talk about Apple, Amazon, Google, and Facebook, it's 2 things. 1, whoever figures out the best way for trust and privacy, but also 2 is who allows us and enables us to share that data through tools like Facebook Connect and beyond on what we like and what our friends like and don't like. So it reduces what I call multiple individual redundancy. If you've already done the work, if 10 of my friends have already figured out how to write a last will and testament and used LegalZoom.com and they liked it, then all of a sudden that's probably what I'm going to use. But that was a great question.
Awesome. Well, other one, just on that same note, it's about Facebook. I think you probably saw yesterday that they made some changes to what a brand page is going to look like. They actually implemented time. They gave most brands, I think they gave everybody till March 30th to up page or read consequences. What do you think that change? Do you think, what are the implications of it going to be, and how should brands prepare for it?
Because looking back when I was writing Socialnomics, I said one of the things that's great about social media is that it's almost like a running digital diary, and then the tool timeline comes out where it's going to showcase everything that you've uploaded. In my mind, it's another step in the right direction, but that being said, what Facebook has struggled with is that everyone doesn't like every change, and so then I talk about that trust and that privacy. So that'd be a negative thing in Facebook in terms of trust and privacy issues, and so the more they do that, the greater risk they have for their brand and the people moving to somewhere else. And what's the greatest thing that people love about Google+? They love 2 things. They love, and those not familiar with Google Plus call. That's their version of Facebook, and they're actually running TV commercials for Google Plus now, which is interesting. But the two that people like most about Google Plus is the circles piece, which it's really when we talk about the hangout piece, which is the video piece where you can talk to multiple people at once. But then the other thing they like the most is the circles, which allows you to say, I want to separate my work people from my friends that bowl, from my charity, from my church people. And so people like that the most out of Google Plus, and so it's kind of sending a notice to Facebook, hey, just be careful on how much of this stuff you roll out in terms of how much you're exposing. And fine for Facebook, because Zuckerberg back in the day said there's no such thing as privacy anymore. And now he's been trained up not to say that because it scares the hell out of everybody. But the thing is, it's technically somewhat true. It's just that you're careful on how you roll this stuff out and how you word it. And so that's something that Facebook hopefully will learn over time.
So a lot about your digital, your legacy, what your legacy is going to be online. A couple people ask, believe it or not, what you want your legacy to be.
Great question. At the end of the day, my digital legacy, in short, is sweet, is that I want to cause smiles than frowns, and be a digital Dale Carnegie. And that's it. That's very simple. And some days, cheesy as it sounds, I might walk through, and especially if I'm having some of us have tough days, and if I'm having a tough day, I'm going to count how people can I go out of the way, both digitally and also in the physical world, to make smile. And digitally, you might go, how do you make someone smile digitally? And if it's emoticon, you can see that. But if not, sometimes you can just know from that interaction that hopefully you've made someone's day. And so at the day, that's all I want to do is I want to make sure that I produce more smiles than frowns in the world.
It's a great legacy, and I think you definitely have some smiling folks on the other end of this webinar today. So, Erik, I can't thank you enough. It was absolutely a blast. In the line, I know there were some questions out there that we didn't get to. We are running up against the clock, so we want to be respectful of everybody's time. But we want to say thank you and joining us. And Erik, most importantly, thanks to you. We really appreciate you taking some time with us today. It was awesome.
No, thanks to everybody, and I apologize that we ran up against time. So shoot me any questions that you may have, and I'll do my best to get back to them using the LIFO method. I'll do my best to get back to as many as I can.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much. We appreciate it. Talk to you soon.
Take care.
Thanks, Erik. Bye.